Hello and welcome to the Oceanic Challenger Series. It's been 11 weeks of regular season, tiebreakers, quarterfinals, and we are now here with the semis. And we brought Vandy along for the special occasion. Welcome back to the desk.
Woo! It is a special occasion, isn't it? You don't get semis every day, and it's just been the culmination of that 11 weeks. Plus, I guess, those 2 weeks of playoffs and
tiebreakers added a cheeky extra one.
Yeah.
And I feel like once we've got into the postseason, we've had some very interesting sort of situations, you know, a bunch of teams going into like a four-way head-to-head tiebreaker. We've had 4v5s. We've had lots of shenanigans.
We've had the whole caboodle. We had Lee Sin flying into outer space from the Dragon last time I was here. I was having a good laugh at that on my way back to the office.
Yeah, that's a cheeky throwback. But we'll catch you guys up in case you haven't been here the entire time. But quarterfinals last weekend actually was a fairly quick weekend, right? Legacy Genesis coming out and looking fairly hot in terms of form going through. Juves was not on the roster here for Gravitas Academy, but they picked up the 2-0 anyway. So anybody looking at the tiebreakers being like, it's the man in the bottom lane, apparently is not. They looked actually incredibly good and really settling into their style. They're picking up that victory. And Mprox got the 2-0 in that 4 versus 5 fashion. Sort of a little bit of a weird one. The 4 taking the victory there, but Order Academy losing that one there and now facing off against the Dire Cubs and against Mammoth Academy, respectively.
I mean, if you told me coming into these playoffs, into this quarterfinals, that we're going to have 2-0 games, I would have been like, nah, you're joking. It's really, really rare to see that across the board, and it just goes to show, I guess, the dominance of a team. I feel like for that Mprox game, it wasn't so much dominance as it was just Order's game to lose. I felt like the tilt that they had really just meant that they just couldn't get past it, and it just kind of snowballed. Like, to get out of that mentality is very, very difficult.
Yeah, certainly, and I think it kind of like bleeds into a bigger point here on today, right? So Gravitas are going to be going up against Dire Cubs and Mammoth as well. Like, these are 2 teams that we just haven't seen for 3 weeks. Like, this is the 3rd one. They played last week a regular season, by straight through tiebreakers. They're sitting at the top of the ladder. They're fine. Don't have to play in the quarterfinals. So today is really going to be about like, what do we see from these top 2 seeds and how how much they have learned from the opponents coming up? Because I don't really believe that Gravitas showed much against Legacy there, and then the same Mprox versus Order.
Yeah, that's a great point. What do they have up their sleeves? We don't know. And in terms of, because there were 2-0 games, they didn't really change their drafts for both teams. Noticing they just kind of stuck with what worked for them. Yeah, there were a couple of tweaks, but it's not like they were saying, okay, this is our ace card, we have to play it. We're up to that 3rd game where we must win it or we're out. So yeah, that's a really nice point that you did bring up over there. But I think the game that we might see that potential upset. I mean, Gravitas, they already did to Legacy. We were all expecting Legacy to kind of breeze on through. They had that 3rd seed for a reason. They played really, really well in that 11 weeks of play. and then it just kind of fell apart in the semis.
Yeah, certainly
Sorry,
did, right? In the
quarterfinals.
quarters, yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the first game of the day. I'm going to bring it up on your screens right now. Dire Cubs versus Gravitas Academy. Dire Cubs being the higher seed gets side selection for the best of 3, so they've gone for red side, and I believe Mammoth have taken the same thing at the latter end of the day. So a lot of people are having different conversations about strength of sides on this current patch, of course. We are locked into the playoffs bracket now, so there won't be any patch changes. We are still on 9-14 here. But yeah, Dire Cubs going for the red side, first ban Xin Zhao, and absolutely away with things.
You want to know a fun fact? I actually got told we've been saying Xin Zhao the wrong way our entire lives.
Yeah, Rusty told me that actually.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he went to China and spoke. Yeah. It's actually more like, I think it was like Jin. It's like, no, so Xinjiao or something.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like even like
I
as
couldn't
much
say
as you
that.
can try,
I could say it in draft, but like
Yeah.
there's no way I'd be able to say that in play-by-play. But the one that I want to point out here, Renekton, he has actually really started to pick up again after those 9.14 changes
Yeah.
and just come right back into the meta. He does everything so well. The changes that they made as well to him just increased his power in that top lane.
Yeah, flexible as well, can go into the mid lane. Target ban's going to hit the deck as well with Guapi losing his GP. You can see Dire Cubs taking that one away.
That's
'Cause
the one
let's
trick.
speak about like how Gravitas play the game, right? It's this weird style of let's pick scaling and then just demolish you in laning phase anyway. That's how they got through like the tiebreakers. There were so many like big pickups of the Twitch there. It's how they got through the quarterfinals as well. So it is sort of weird, like it's counterintuitive, but it has worked, and it really seems like in the last couple of weeks they've absolutely been doubling down on that.
I like the prioritization of Cassiopeia. So same thing. The changes really just bring her back into the meta. She was just unstoppable. I remember at like the beginning of the year, they toned down some of her power, and then now she's in a bit of that stable place. But what she does so well is that she's able to just safely farm. She's able to hold her lane. Hot Chelly as well is an avid Cassiopeia player.
Yeah.
So to prioritize that, I think was very smart on the side of Gravitas.
Yeah, the other side, Corki, Yumi going to be locked in. Corporal's played a fair amount of that champion at the bottom side, and Corki is incredibly flexible. If you take a look at the OPL, we've seen Corki go in the top lane. It can be played 80 carry and mid lane as well, picked up there for Siemens. So Dire Cubs really not showing much, and the man of the top lane is the one you have to look at, right? This is a Dire Cubs that over the course of the season had a very stable roster. There was that like lengthy period. It wasn't like every week something changes, but Dragku did go off to China and he wasn't on the roster, so Kweku stepped in. Of course, Dragku getting game time on AV last week in the OPL means that he's not eligible here to play, but Kweku had some very good performances during the middle of the split, so I don't think it's such a big loss here for the Cubs.
I think the biggest thing as well is that they have had a couple of weeks with Kweku. He's not just coming in over here where it's just like, oh, okay, we haven't been playing with you. There's always been a little bit of that split with them where they've had a couple of weeks with him on. So I don't think it would be that change or shock. And also the playstyle that he brings would be very similar.
Yeah, it's...
Silas over here,
Yeah.
I'm thinking he would be in the jungle. We know that he has been flexing a lot. We know he can also go mid or top, but we've just been seeing a lot of him recently in that jungle position.
Yeah, some of the changes as well did kind of push him back towards lane prevalence in the last couple of weeks. So yes, as you mentioned, is flexible. The other big thing to kind of hit on, why not just going to go back to basics with the Sejuani, but Emelg in the bottom side, going to get his Bard. Now, this was an immediate answer into the Yumi. No delay in locking that one down. It has played it to great effect before. Has almost solo won Gravitas Academy games on this champion. And as a Bard connoisseur myself, I can 100% respect that. Bard, incredibly fun champion, incredibly game impactful, whether positive or negative. And certainly is a risky choice, but risky is kind of the game the Gravitas Academy like to play, and today's going to be no different.
Well, it's also testing the waters, right? This is the game where you do want to try something that might be a little bit more out there, see if you can get the win, start things snowballing. If not, you still have the best of 3 format to be able to come back in. It's not the best of 1 that we were playing with. Something as well is that with the changes to Lux, finally we seem to be Lux-free. It was just Lux game after game after game. So finally, neither of them prioritizing that Lux.
Yeah. Certainly true. Lost a bunch of the extra shield damage, like the bonus on the return of the W was super OP. And is not going to be the case here today. Is kind of curious already taking a look at the draft. Like Gravitas have the big team fight ultis. They've got a bunch of big AoE buttons, right? Like Cass ulti, Sedge ulti, Bard ulti. Once you get into team fights, can be very effective. Whereas Dire Cubs, they've already got a TP solo laner and potentially another one with that Silas as well. They've got long range poke with Yumi. And it is looking like going to look to split up the map somewhat, but this is an old school pick here for
This is
Ubisoft.
so old school. We just saw nothing by Hecarim. I remember at the beginning, this was almost a Dire Cup special. That's just how much they were playing it. And it's almost just like a blast from the past. In terms of the 80 carry bands you could see coming out on this side of Dire Cups as well, meaning that the Twitch doesn't go over, which Gravitas played with successful results last week, and also that Lucian being taken away, and Retribution opting for that Kai'Sa in the end. That's just something that he plays a lot of. It's a safe pick.
Yeah, and did play it last week in the quarterfinals as well. A couple of things to note, like the Yuumi Hecarim synergy there for Ubisoft and Corporal respectively. Kind of similar to the Skarner sort of composition where you just ride on his back, you give him the zoomies, and he just flies into battle. Is incredibly effective. You get the CC from the fear of Heck ulti, and then Yuumi comes over the top with round number 2. That is a very interesting lock-in. Once again, I've said it multiple times already, but Jack's incredibly good scaling top laner. Kai'Sa standard, as you mentioned, and Guapi's going to pick himself up that one from top side.
Maybe we're going to finish things off with a Fiora over here. So on the side of Cubs, it's still unclear where the positioning is going to be. They have so many flex picks. We don't know whether it's going to be Hecarim top or jungle. We don't know whether Silas is going to be mid.
That's locked in, I think. Yeah, Silas mid, Corki 80 carry position. Hecarim going to go in the jungle. Or it could actually be Corki top to play fairly safely into... Wait, no, that's a Fiora. Absolutely not.
I was like, but then where did Fiora go?
Yeah, that was genuine trolling. No, okay. This much more standard. I believe Dire Cubs actually did it earlier on in the split. I think it was week 11, week 10 maybe. Definitely the latter weeks. And TP 80 carry is what Yuumi kind of thrives with. She likes being able to get around the map without having to take any summoner for herself. So can be super strong down there. And Dire Cubs going to go back to that one.
So when we were asking ourselves, okay, what have Dire Cubs been doing? They had that 3 weeks off air where we didn't really see anything of them. As you said, they already had the bye. And it seems like they probably have some strats, but they're not willing to bring it out. Same as Gravitas as well. Neither team are showing too much up front. A lot of it is just like standard picks, picks that we know that they've been comfortable with, picks that they've played throughout the season. So it's just really interesting to see, I guess, in this battle of the comforts, in this battle over here with these strategies, who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, certainly is interesting. Sharp, I don't believe, is the support for Dire Cubs. Corporal is actually going to be the starting laner here, so... Yeah, it's kind of interesting. In terms of the development of this draft, right? Like you mentioned, Dire Cubs, we haven't seen them for a couple of weeks. This is, as you say, like very akin to their style, but Fiora in the top side seems like the risky one for me. When you take a look at how these two teams interact, Gravitas do really seem to be much more of like a snowball-heavy team, like get Guapi a lead, let's take over the game through the side lanes, whereas Dire Cubs like to play a little bit slower, like to play a little bit more cohesively, and I'll just say probably the better macro team here today.
Well, that's been the biggest strength that we've seen of the Cubs. I mean, of the 2 losses they had, one to Mammoth, one to Legacy, even then, they were still close losses. Cubs, they often are happy to give away some of the early game, and we always see them coming back in that mid to late. Mid to late is what they thrive for, but Guapi, he is in a rock and a hard place, forced to use the stun, holding onto that flash, finally now uses it, but that's going to be the follow-up here from Suman. The Ignite is coming out, Guapi's trying to retreat to the inner turret, and he manages to get away. Yeah,
if you've got to pick on one member, picking on the Jax early is a foolproof strategy here for Dire Cubs. So they get the flash out. It does cost them an Ignite, but when Yuumi has double combat summoners, isn't the worst price to pay. So starting off on the right foot, they catch out the jungler in the dot bush. Very kind of standard stuff for each team to just get their own dot bush ward level 1 and ultimately just back away. But Dire Cubs going a little bit more aggressive and certainly pay the dividends here.
Yeah, they wanted something more and they got it. And it's funny because you were saying Guapi is going to be the one that they probably want to focus, start to get that snowball happening. This is going to set him back at least for that 3 minutes while the flash is recharging.
Okay.
A little bit of contest here over why not he started actually in their jungle. And we know with the wards as well, they're probably just going to swap here.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense, right? The Dire Cubs go for the top side, invade, and Gravitas know exactly what's going on. Their bottom lane did deploy from level 1 straight to bottom side, so they're just like, okay, we can walk in, get some deep vision, and just allow for kind of the jungle flip here. But this is the one situation that it hurts here for Gravitas, right? Like the jungle flip mirrored on either side of the map, but the fact that Guapi is kind of sitting here, doesn't know where the Hecarim is exactly. Yes, he could be doing blue buff, but also he could be sitting in the river looking for an early gank or something like that. Good wave manipulation means it is going to push into the Jax, and he will be underneath his turret, but that's a no bueno trade.
Attack as well. Guapi again in a lot of trouble, and he gives over the first blood to Kweku.
Straight up solo kill. I'm looking at what's happening in that trade. It's like if he falls too low, then a dive is on. Ubisoft can look for that one, but straight up just solo dies to the Fiora early. Huge wave pushing in as well. That's disastrous for GRVA's top side of the map.
Some of the nerves here perhaps showing from Guapi, but it was exactly that. You saw how cautious he was at the very beginning, giving over a lot of that wave control to Kweku, and then he just overstays his welcome, which is so interesting. I feel like a lot of that in that situation is just you get impatient. You're just like waiting for the lane to crash, and you're like, all right, I'll trade with Kweku, and then you're like, okay, this trade is going badly. Hang on, I've just traded. Just needs to stabilize here.
Certainly is true. Does receive the bunch of that farm that he's just going to push into his turret, but Kweku goes back to base, buys himself a couple of long swords working on the Tiamat. Feels good for the Fiora. It does seem like Hecarim going for a relatively full clear, both junglers sort of mirroring somewhat, and the other lanes seem significantly more stable, given we're only 3 minutes into this one.
So Sumin as well, you saw him after he pushed the wave in, went to check the river, seeing if anyone's going to rotate, or just trying to keep tabs on where the jungler might be as well. So I like that.
Spots out the crab spawning as well, so they kind of have a better idea of where Sejuani is. A lot of League of Legends is just inferring from information you do have, given that you do have that incomplete sort of control of the map. So the fact that the crab is still open means that Sejuani likely wants to path in that direction, and Ubisoft has some time to play with. This wave is pushing in. It is important to note as well that Ubisoft on the Hecarim hasn't gone for the flash, hasn't gone for the ghost, actually has that ignite. So with the Conqueror, with the red smite that he just picked himself up, the dueling potential of the Hecarim is incredibly high. Super scary for lanes to get into any sort of skirmishes with him.
Very, very scary days. Guapi seems to have stabilized, which is good to see. But again, it just comes down to that. I mean, the first blood over there, it would be playing on his mind, and you're coming into the semis now. Like, this is where the nerves would start to happen, for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is, right? Seaman
in the mid lane, trading with Hot Chili, why not? Also looking to see if he can make something happen, but Sumin protected, of course, with his inner turret.
Yeah, you can see Hot Chili currently sitting on negative mana there, does get the refund on the E, but why not just trying to push the wave in as much as possible? Given that we saw what happened with the crabs earlier, Ubisoft goes parts down bot side, he's going to pick himself up the double scuttle. Feels very nice, and kind of the advantage of the top lane isn't going to manifest itself in like the next couple of minutes or right now. Like that advantage speaks towards the TP control that Dire Cubs do now have. As soon as Ubisoft passes to bottom side, there's almost no ability to contest here for GRVA, because if they do get into a fight, a TP from a Fiora behind you just turns into a 5v4 that you have no business winning. So it is kind of a little bit difficult to even try and answer on the other side, and that is kind of why Wynot is happy to spend some time mid lane just helping his mid side push in. This is a gang.
Yep, Wynot over here to help. Forces out the early flash. The stun is going to come through, and now Guapi trades the kill onto Kweku.
Yeah, necessary response there for GRVA. Getting that kill back, super impactful for the Jax. He's going to be able to push this wave in, and everything I just said about the TP advantage is probably going to have to be burnt right now to get himself back to lane. Bottom lane, though.
Ubisoft trying to mimic the result of top, but a nice flash from Retribution gets him out of harm's way.
It's very nice timing there. You can see Bard is one of those supports that wants to leave lane very often.
Sumin trying to trade the ulti there. Just misses Hot Chili with his back turn.
Yeah, just throws it back in his face. I was saying Bard likes to leave lane often, and the gank onto Kai'Sa, very timely, picks her off when she is alone. So now a flash burnt down bottom side as well. Potential for a dive in the mid lane. Cassia ulti is going to dissuade a lot of that. Imelg, almost snuck a cheeky chicken.
Ubisoft bolstered by the Yuumi, of course, so never truly alone as long as Corporal's there. In the top lane, Guapi with the flash. Kweku, he burnt his. He needs to escape. He's calling for his team. If things are right, Sumin will be able to get the kill. He's been completely cut off by Sumin, and he picks up the kill. Hot Chili trying his best to save him, but now Hot Chili might be caught out over here. Ubisoft pushing him back. That's going to be a nice ultimate, and he might actually trade. Gets the kill onto Ubisoft. Imelg is there to support, but looks like they're going to disengage. Yeah,
such an active map right now. Bard rotates all the way up and gets himself involved in the play. That started off with a 1 versus 2 from the Fiora, right? He TP's back to lane. Sejuani is still up in the area, and ultimately they get chased out. Very nice response there from Hot Chili to help out his top laner. He did go down, but they got the response with Bard's rotation. So both of these guys, 2 kills apiece. Gold lead incredibly even right now, and you can see sort of CS lead started to creep up in the side lanes. Jax, given that second kill, also given that the Fiora TP'd back to lane that immediately chased down the river, did lose a significant amount of farm to the turret, whereas on the bottom side, Retribution has just been kind of chilling 1 versus 2, and Andrew and Corporal have had very good wave control, got themselves about a 20 CS lead down here.
Why not? Still lurking around the bottom half of the map, of the river. Probably wouldn't be looking for a gank just yet. But you do also have Ubisoft coming on by.
Yeah, Sejuani does have level 6, and you can just kind of fling it at the bottom lane. I don't believe they're on some vision. Did sweep his way through. So if the ulti does land, could be an insta-kill, but...
And Hot Chelly has joined them too, so definitely a gank is on the cards.
Andrew.
It's going to be the ult. It's a swing and a miss, unfortunately. Andrew tries to use the dash to get away, try and break the distance. There's actually going to be a flash out there, but Andrew can't be locked down.
Yeah, turn around. It's going to be there. Has to cop the summoners. Both the heal and the flash is used in response. Ulti did fall a little bit wide. Kweku pops the ulti here. Wants Guapi.
Trade in the top lane again with Guapi. Has a turret advantage to try and help him. Kweku and Guapi waiting for their cooldowns, but neither wanting to commit too hard.
And such a weird 1 versus 1. Kweku kind of happy feeding back and forth. Wanted the Vital. Desperately missed it on his last auto attack. And unable to proc the ulti means no commit is there. Guapi, given level 1, losing his flash and now already has 2 deaths. In regards to the 1 versus 1, he's actually in a reasonable position. Went for a cheeky recall to bait out of recall of his opponent there, so he's going to get a nice little CS lead off that as well. Other side of the map, the response is here for Diacubs. Just an air dragon, but...
I like that though. They knew that
good.
Why Not failed the gank attempt, and then they knew as well with that pressure they could take it very, very safely. So Ubisoft managing to take that one for his team. Corporal, of course, coming over to help secure that one. And the next Drake's going to be Ocean Drake. Nice.
Yeah.
No Infernal, no Mountain. It's always funny. I feel like Diacubs especially, they always get the air Drakes. It's just, that's just it for them. Sumin, he's in enemy territory, but should be able to dash on out.
Does have flash. Okay.
Yeah, felt threatened enough to actually flash.
If he didn't blow the flash before the miasma came down, that is potentially just get CC'd off the back end of that. Okay. Why not? Gets himself to safety. So we did pay the summoner price early. I like that. Respects the pressure coming from his opponents. Talking about the Air Drake RNG is somewhat unfortunate for a bottom side of the map like Diacubs that is so far ahead given how much Bard has left lane. It's kind of a given, but they probably want to at least speed up this game given the current situation, given there's double tier users on the enemy team. Kaiser's gone for the Mana Immune build. Guapi goes in as Ubisoft.
Trying to be the bait over here. Ubisoft manages to charge on out. They're trying to get that 2v1. Kweku barely staying alive. Does manage to get the kill though.
And these top laners just won't stop fighting. Sejuani pathing up about 5 seconds away, but Ubisoft with a very smart read there. Baits in the Jax once again. This time he does have TP, so why not in the area?
Why not though? Might try to take that kill out onto Kweku, who's in deep, deep trouble. Can't focus down. Kweku going back in.
Okay, riposte lands.
Yeah, he's feeling confident enough. He might actually turn this one onto Why Not, and he does!
Disastrous play onto the other side of the map as well. Corporal.
Last hit up there. Takes out the kill on MLG.
Lands it with the unattached Yumi Q. It's not every day of the week you see that pick up a kill, but disastrous turn of events for Gravitas. They basically get 1 versus 2 on the top side of the map. Yes, Guapi falls down and Kweku continues the fight. Sejuani also blows the summoner. Diacubs actually going to go for the tempo reset here, so not looking to get any extra platings, maybe looking at the wave, and it's like we don't really have the tools to dive this to pressure him off, so back to base early. We have the TP working on the Triforce of Corki, and this lead in the bottom side is only getting bigger.
They will have to answer to it eventually once lanes do break. The top lane as well. I mean, Guapi, he really was stabilizing so well, but now Kweku, the ultimate beta over here in the top lane. It's funny because Jackson, Fiora, they almost have similar playstyles. You think they're low, you think they can you can finish them off, but they always manage to turn the tables onto you if their cooldowns are up, and that's exactly what Kweku did to Why Not. That's just setting back Guapi even further.
And Rift Herald is being started. No jungler there, but Diacubs actually don't have vision. No idea where the Sejuani is, but response on the other side of the map. They walk over vision, but it is very hard to defend as a Bard-Kai'Sa duo. Remember, Bard can kind of ulti the turret if they want to look for any sort of plays like that. TP's going to come through.
And just to steal Kai'Sa's ulti, and that forces that teleport response immediately from Hot Chelly.
Super smart play there from Gravitas Academy. Get themselves the Rift Herald, defend the bot side turret as well. Cancelled base is going to be there. Diacubs just looking to deny the recall as they still do have numbers. Ubisoft did just complete his recall, so no jungler in the area, but we can continue pressuring this one. Mid lane is basically wide open. Silas finds a Sedge.
That's it. Starts to open up onto Why Not. And there's really no one there. It's just going to be the 1v1, so Why Not just trying to secure that jungle?
Yeah, okay, let's take stock of a couple of things that have happened, right? The top side matchup is in sort of a weird place. You mentioned multiple times that Guapi was stabilizing very well, and yes, that's absolutely true. He had about a 20 CS lead before the last round of deaths there, but it was sort of this situation where Kweku was picking up kills but wasn't picking up the waves afterwards. Like, he rotates down to mid lane, picks up a fight, picks up a kill, and loses a big wave to his turrets, so was in kind of that weird spot where he wasn't necessarily stronger in the 1 versus 1, but okay. 3 members from Dire Cubs.
Forcing out Guapi, who's forced to go across the wall. Udisoft's ultimate doesn't quite connect, but Kweku is ready to commit for it. Guapi needing to retreat from that one. A lot of summoners burned, a lot of ultimates burned.
Yeah, Cassio on the rotation is going to dissuade this play, though. Dire Cubs have to run for the hills. Hotchelli
Kweku
may find a pick here. Udisoft's quick.
again cut off, but Udisoft is racing up the river trying to help Kweku. It doesn't matter though, gets the shutdown from Guapi.
Yeah, greedy pathing from the Fiora is going to cost him his life. Could have gone over the wall, but sits around in the bush. Finds himself a turret hit and will fall down. Rift Herald, they received early, is going to get popped as well. All of this plating being given to Guapi. Has had a rough laning phase, but after this, immediately will be able to complete the Triforce. Huge spike for the Jax player. 14 minutes is when plating do fall, so get up just before that timer. Very nicely timed here for
Trying
Gravitas.
to get that first brick as well, but it's not going to be. Cubs are there. It's going to be Andrew as well. Bolted by Corporal, and now Guapi again being singled out. Stayed a little bit too long.
Stayed, as you mentioned, too long, and Shelly actually picks up the turret there, so first brick does go over. Nobody picks up the gold, unfortunately, but Dire Cubs do get the punish. Mid lane, lands the Q, gets the move speed to just zoom away.
Rest of the members now of Cubs, they're just scattering. See what else they can. This is where we're going to see a lot of the roaming start to happen.
Do they know where the Cassio is?
Oh,
Who's
Shelly.
caught who? Kweku?
Shelly's unfussed at all. Also try and take over this buff. Kweku has spotted him finally now, but doesn't matter. Dragon has been started. All the members of Gravitas are there. We still have Andrew and Corporal in that top lane.
Yeah, 2 members deployed top side means Dire Cubs happy to sack this one. Just an Ocean Dragon. They have an air of their own, breaking the turret. Also going to steal away the blue buff. So blue buffs a piece, traded on either side of the map. You can see on the other side, Gravitas looking for a commit onto the Fiora. Kweku actually goes in for this one.
Look at Hotchelli just completely shrinking him right down there. The ultimate does not connect, but Udisoft does. It's still good. Hotchelli is barely getting away. Manages to take out Udisoft.
And how did he live? The heck ulti comes over the top, thrown back into the turret, but the healing is just enough to survive. And what turned out to be a 2 versus 2 skirmish turns around with the Cassio. Kweku, not to mention, on basically 2 HP, so has to reset. Opportunities open on the bottom side for Gravitas, and this game is so back and forth. Every time somebody makes a play, a response is either there already, the junglers are lying in wait, or the prepared players on the other side of the map. A very good response and a very good read on both of these teams, I have to think, and yeah, resulting in very even. Only 500 gold at 15 minutes is basically nothing at this point. Sitting on different members, Cassio is getting fairly strong, but same can be said for the Corki. He's about almost 1,000 gold up. Topside, given how much has kind of happened up here around the Fiora, around the Jax, relatively even, but
Yeah, biggest difference goes over to the AD carries, which we were seeing in that bot lane as well. Andrew was just left to CS while we saw ML doing the roam, as he said, as Bard likes to do. It's very tough for that Kaiser to hold off the 1v2.
And it's also one of those weird situations where Bard kind of skews how Golds works with the support matchup. Oh, hold that thought.
Bot lane.
See him in.
Shelly just trying to clear the wave, manages to get the ultimate under the turret. Udisoft wants revenge, gets him. Summon, it might be enough. The last tick does manage to get him.
Yeah, it's not a friendly Coco either, so couldn't make his way towards that one and heal, but do take down the Cassio. I was saying, because Emelk has spent so much time roaming around the map, Corporal's just been sitting on top of Andrew's head, right? So he hits turret, procs a Spell Thief passive there, gets a little bit of gold. He hits the Kaiser. Same sort of story, so is actually about 1,000 up. This is the fight.
Coming online. Kweku in a lot of trouble again, but now Guapi forced to use the flash to secure the kill. He's still happy with that one.
Yeah, flash W chomp onto the Fiora. Now Guapi getting ahead of this matchup. Valkyrie gets Andrew to safety.
Yep, Melg, he tried to use ultimate to lock him in place. It wasn't meant to be. Why not? Is still happy to chase a little bit longer. Backs away. Andrew wants to clear that water, or at least take the chicken.
Sejuani did have ulti, so dashes over the wall, potentially looking for the play, but Andrew bought enough space that they don't pull the trigger on it. Bard ulti already down, so it would have been hard to follow. Ubisoft is kind of in bottom river flanking right now in a bunch of control wards. Gravitas don't have vision of him right now, but doesn't look like Dire Cubs want to look for any sort of fight. Just happy to clear out the wave and push the mid lane back.
Again, now Gravitas, they're just going to sweep and reset, see what other value they can find, but the back and forth is still there. This time, though, the gold pendulum swings over to Gravitas. So it's just so close, and if you were asking me if it was going to be this close, considering that Gravitas ended up as 6C, like they really are in their stride now.
Yeah, and I feel like game situation, game state right now, kind of hard to leverage here for the Dire Cubs, right? If you look at their engage tools, they're few and far between. Ubisoft on a Triforce jungler, Triforce warrior as well, nothing like a Sejuani with Cinderhulk that just has a button to go. Means that it is kind of hard to leverage their lead. We mentioned a lot of their gold lead is on the bottom lane, on the Corki, on the Yuumi. They can poke, yes, but given that Guapi just has Kweku's number right now, sitting on a Triforce, is going for the Shojin, I would expect 2 items. Fiora will need probably one to 2 more items before she can actually contest in the side lane, and Guapi very strong right now, so Gravitas having an easier time playing this one time being. Package does skew things for about 30 seconds, but looks like a dragon fight is on the cards. Everybody deploying bottom side and 1 minute on the cooldown.
That's going to be the ultimate coming out. And MLG, I'm confusing the name. He uses it on himself, gets himself out of harm's way.
Okay, weird interaction. Ubisoft wants a piece of Guapi though. Gank number 7, probably this game. Yeah.
So he deters the dive. Until at least the wave gets pushed in. Ubisoft still has ultimate available, as does Sumin.
Yeah, kind of a weird situation. Dire Cubs forcing them out mid lane, getting barred so incredibly low, means that they push in both side lanes. They deployed their Jax, their side laner, towards the bottom side, so CM make short work of the turret. Dragon spawning in about 15 seconds. Ubisoft just shepherding this one in. Spotted out, why not on the Sejuani, so they know exactly where he is.
Again in the mid lane, so just holding steady, so there's no real objective to fight for just yet, but we do have Baron about to spawn, we do have the next dragon about to spawn. In fact, as that dragon spawned, Ubisoft started immediately.
Yeah, multiple pings up on the top side of the map though. They have a Cassio, they have a Sejuani with an AD carry. They actually chew through the Baron fairly quickly if Dire Cubs don't expect this one. They get given the second air dragon, but doing the crab, it doesn't look like they have any sort of idea. Pink ward in the pit, pink ward over the wall. This is a very smart read here for Gravitas.
There we go though, it's going to be the blue ward that spots them out. Immediately the retreat is there, but almost got away with it.
Yeah. Opportunistic play. Doesn't come through with the goods though, as blue trinket comes from Andrew. Very smart read from himself. Knows there's only one place realistically they can be on the map, and a pink ward used immediately. Guapi in a 1 versus 3.
But that's what you want as a Jack. So as far as Guapi is concerned, as long as he keeps diverting resources from the Cubs to answer to him, that's exactly what he wants.
Retribution.
It's going to be the root coming out over there, but why not is there to follow up. The ultimate comes from Retribution, trying to take out Andrew, who his Valkyrie to safety.
Oh.
It's actually going to be a double kill over to Sumin. He's now getting traded through. Why not manages to get the last hit on him? The teleport comes out. Kweku is in a world of hurt. He can't cancel that one, had to commit, and that's going to be 2 for 2.
Yeah, Kweku TP's into no man's lane, gets immediately cleaned up. Now Gravitas on the offensive. Mid lane turret is in their sights. TP gets to the inner from the bottom lane of Dire Cubs. They had no HP, had to heal. Why not? Wants a piece of Ubisoft.
Yep, Andrew burn teleport to hold the mid lane, but Ubisoft needed to get out of harm's way. The push here from Gravitas is still strong.
Yeah, so doesn't ultimately mean a Baron taken over. Andrew still has Valkyrie, so actually turns around for this one. Okay.
So he can still add to his farm. Andrew, he burned the teleport, as I said, get back into lane as quickly as possible, but then just put the brakes onto Gravitas' push in mid lane.
Yeah, and I feel like you can tell this is a semi-final. Like, the pressure is on. It feels like a very stop-and-starty game. Gravitas, they fish for an opportunity at the Baron and then find themselves in a mid lane fight. Bard is one of those champions, when you do get caught out, you don't have many options, so he falls down very quickly. The bottom lane, once again, of Dire Cubs, Corporal Andrew being able to pick up a bunch of those assists, see him, and actually the recipient of the kills, whereas Guapi is on the other side of the coin, is somewhat skewing the scaling, as Guapi just gets himself more and more kills added to the belt, makes Fiora have a harder time in the side lanes, but it feels very hard to keep continuing after the fights, right? It's like a fight goes down and it's fairly even and somebody is the victor, of course. They push a turret, break something, but no real opportunity to look for a big team fight around the Baron or anything like that.
Oh, big shutdown being handed over to Hot Chelly over here with that river kill in top,
flash.
actually flashing for it. But in the meanwhile, bot lane, again, that 1v1 from Guapi. This time though, Kweku, he can't stop it. A double kill as well, handed over to Hot Chelly. So with the flash, managing to take out Ubisoft.
Yeah.
The Baron is open. However, Andrew immediately pops Retribution. He got deleted.
What is going on? The two-man army here from Diacubs, the only members left standing, because that was an absolute routing from Gravitas. They get kills on multiple sides of the map.
Guapi likes his
actually wants it.
chances. That's still a 2v1, but he's keeping them at bay. Andrew actually
Yeah.
Valkyrie's out of that, feeling threatened enough to do it. Finally now, the Baron being handed over to Gravitas.
Yeah, and a huge map play there from Gravitas. Hot Chelly hits 2 items. It says 1v2, no problem. Takes down Seaman, takes down Ubisoft, and the Diacubs are in dire straits right now. The first significant gold lead of the game, 2,000 now held by Gravitas. They will have Baron for a couple of minutes. You expect them to be able to play on the opponent's side of the map, looking to pressure this one forwards, make progress, and now we have the first non-air, non-ocean Drake spawning as well. They will have early access to the Infernal, and their team fight is coming online. Cassio picks up a bunch more kills. Retribution not quite at the spike where he ticks over the Manamune, but dealing relevant damage nonetheless. It seems like for the Diacubs, Andrew and Corporal, the two big strong ones left standing right now. See if they can stand tall and defend this push.
Andrew and Corporal, I've been saying it to them all season, but like that is an 80, like that duo over there, they just play so well together, but it just doesn't mean anything if you don't have a team to be able to go in with. Like, he can clear the waves, yes, but eventually, with Baron being there, actually going for the aggressive play to try to get MLG, but instead Hot Chili might have been caught out over here. Ubisoft, though, gets completely taken out. Andrew's in a lot of trouble now, but it doesn't matter because Suman's been locked completely into place, so they change targets and take out Suman. That's going to be a 2 for none for Gravitas.
And Diacubs go on the offensive. They look at the Baron, it's like, we can't defend this push once they get to our base, so they pull the trigger early, but Gravitas just completely wiped them. Very nice ulti from the Bard up the back end, secures them an extra kill. Ubisoft, no Triforce completed. It's a bad time to be a Hecarim, and struggling to defend this one. Guapi found Kweku, but the dash gets into safety.
They're working their way onto that inhibitor turret in the middle lane over now. And Gravitas, they use the portal to escape now. They're putting the brakes on their push. They got what they came for.
Yeah, super impactful here. Breaking the base just means Diacubs have another thing to answer for. Only single recall coming out of the Gravitas Academy lineup as well. You can see their eyes are set on the Dragon. Kweku gets a ward, but that's probably about as far as he can venture into the bottom side jungle, given would be a 1 versus 4. So they're going to pick up the blue, hand it over to Hot Chili, pick up the Dragon, hand it over to everyone, and Gravitas in a very good position right now.
Yeah, they still have a little bit left of Baron that they can use to push with as well, but Gravitas, you can't handle Hot Shell, you can't handle Guapi. You're sending multiple resources to deal with these two members in lane, and it doesn't really matter that you have Retribution and ML who can't really assist that much. As long as ML can get those ultimates and we just need a bit of that damage from Retribution, that's enough to help support their team. Where Andrew tried to make that play for Diacubs and just went disastrous. What happened was that Hot Jelly completely turned onto Suman. Ubisoft destroyed him.
Retribution maybe caught again. Slow lands. Oh, gets chomped.
Deleted. Deleted. See you next time.
Is Hecarim a centaur? He is, right?
Yeah. Wait, is he a full horse? Or
No, he's
does he have
half-man.
a human?
He's
half,
got a
he's
human
a
head.
centaur then.
Yeah, he's a centaur. Okay. Just
I
runs
should
him over.
know that because my star sign is Sagittarius. But speaking of which, the Centaur man, he's up in that top lane. Guapi slowed down by the Yuumi. And now, finally, Raid Boss Guapi is down. That's 2 picks now on the side of Diacubs.
Yeah, very nice map play from Diacubs. Get themselves 2 in a row. Does dissuade a lot of Gravitas' push. The Baron basically gone. You can see 3 members on the other side of the map looking to make something happen, but okay, they have a little bit left on the timer. Actually just fell down. Turret, though, incredibly low. A couple of auto attacks going to be enough to take this one down, and a Bard portal to safety. So 2 picks for a turret, not the best in Gravitas' position, but Diacubs certainly holding on right now. This gold lead in the AD carry position is getting even further out of hand, right? We are seeing kind of the AP variant of the Kai'Sa going into the Nash's Tooth, but once Andrew hits that rapid fire spike, is incredibly strong and probably the strongest he will be on the Corki. I've said it multiple times, but kind of the one-man army when you pop a Yuumi on his back, they can make things happen. Gravitas, they find Seaman.
Why not? Doesn't manage to land the ultimate, but still hot on Suman's tail right there. And Hot Chili now to try and bolster. The ultimate actually deterring Why Not. Ubisoft is here to help, as is Kweku. Suddenly changing things into a 3v2. It's going to be ML's ultimate to try and get Kweku over there, but the CC doesn't land. Kweku manages to get on out, and now Wynot is stuck in a very awkward situation. Guapi finally comes out onto the sides, forces a flash. Flashes himself to try and secure the kill. Shielding needs to come out. He's holding them off there. Gets a double stun. A 1-for-1 at the moment. Kweku now still very low. Hot Chili trying to chase. Doesn't look like the fight might be over.
But Tunnel gets him into the backline, takes the tanks, very nice stun.
And that's going to be a couple more kills traded over on the side of Gravitas. It's going to be that 2-for-2 now.
And such a turnaround fight. It looked like Diacubs found access to so many more picks. Double riposte from the Fiora negates double CC, but as soon as Guapi arrived at the fight, completely turned that one on his head. Flash Counter-Strike onto multiple members. Now Gravitas, no Baron, but still looking to push the base. The Super Creeps did work in the mid lane, and Andrew has to spend his time defending that one. So second inhib looks to be in their sights. Reset's going to come out for the Corki, so it's just going to fall down here for Gravitas.
Ubisoft trying to threaten the portal is there. They managed to get the inhibitor and get out of harm's way for now. Andrew, bolstered by Corporal on the side, see if they can make a pick, see if they can hold up Gravitas a little bit longer. Ubisoft knows he can chase, as well as the Yumi. Finally gets the slow onto Hot Chili, who's in a lot of trouble right now. Doesn't have the ultimate. Retribution over there, manages to get the kill onto Andrew, trades for it. Corporal bounced off. Finally now the disengage.
And such a weird game. Gravitas makes such good use of the Bard portal to get themselves to safety multiple times, but Diacubs pick up another pick off the back end. The AD carries kind of just kill each other and walk away from the fight there. Both back to base, 20 seconds on their respawns. Baron already started up by the Sejuani. They've done it before with the Cassio-Sejuani combo. They bring over Guapi. Dies fairly quickly here, but Diacubs with the response.
That's going to be the face check coming out from Kweku. Trying to get a little bit closer. Guapi again, holding
lands.
off 2, holding off 3. Ubisoft forced to use his ultimate. Bard blocking up 2 of them. Suman needs to get away. Hot Chili is hot on their tail. And again with the CC, they managed to get their first kill. Hot on the tails of Kweku. It's going to be enough with a dot. That's a second kill. Corporal, he's left to his own resources. Doesn't have the boots. Going to be very slow. Does Gravitas force the chase? He does manage to latch onto Andrew, but Guapi, he wants it very badly, the stun. And he manages to disengage. The middle inhibitor has respawned. The rest of the members escorting the bot lane.
Yeah, Bard actually just denying the reset of Hecarim on the minimap right now. 2-man contest. Valkyrie forwards.
And they dive Andrew. It doesn't even matter. Corporal now. He's left his own resources again. And I don't believe this. This is going to hopefully be the end from Gravitas. They're looking for the end at least. Guapi hot on those turrets. So it's going to be both Nexus turrets down. And now working their way onto the Nexus. And this is going to be Gravitas getting game number 1 in the semi-finals over the Diacubs.
And from tiebreakers to semi-finals, Gravitas, they pick up the 1-0. Diacubs falling short that one. That was such a weird game.
It was so much action going on, so much back and forth. It felt like anyone's game, but the way Gravitas played it, they were just whittling away at the base. Yeah,
like every one of those like early trades, like eventually just sort of ended up going in their favor little by little, and then it kind of hit this breaking point where Guapi was like too strong to attack.
He was holding off 3 members.
Yeah, and when you take a look at like Diacub's composition, they had the Corki that got ahead, right? Barb was just roaming all over the map, and they had a significant gold lead there. But like the one other point I want to hit on is Ubisoft on the Triforce Hecarim.
Yep.
Never hit the Triforce. Like to be a Hecarim that doesn't actually hit your main item spike, had a super rough time, and then as soon as he had to start grouping, there was just like no ability to him to make like effective impact in that game, and then the solo lens from Gravitas just started taking over. Every fight was like, okay, Diacubs, they played the map well, they found a pick onto Retribution, he ended something like 0-3, 0-4 at the back end of that game, but just didn't matter when you're running into a Cassio, big ulti wins you a fight. Guapi, as soon as he landed to these fights, was super impactful, and yeah, that's a 1-0 start to the series for the blue side.
And with Gravitas, they picked exactly a similar composition that you talked about. Members that scale so well. Kaiset didn't matter that she was having still low score, still scales incredibly well. To the point where in that last version of that 1v1 that we saw between Andrew, managed to get Andrew with Corporal still attached to him. So that just shows the strength of the scaling coming out. Guapi turned into an absolute monster after such a late start. But yeah, Hecarim, you just didn't get the value from the pick, and that just really hurt Diacubs. They play that so well, and they knew exactly what they needed to unlock the Hecarim. They just never got it.
And yeah, I think it kind of speaks to look at the game as like a holistic thing. That was a very like Gravitas Academy style game. Like skirmish, heavy early game where like it's kills traded back and forth. Diacubs, they've spent like a bulk of this split. They play like the standard bottom side matchups. They played a lot of like Sona Tarek in the first couple of weeks. And they want the standard slow stuff to happen and just play like normal League of Legends where Gravitas are happy to go out swinging. Have have a scrappy time, and it looked like Gravitas got their way, right? They come up with a victory. So yeah, they're sitting 1-0 in the series right now. Yeah, certainly going to be a good time, but 3-minute break, guys. We'll be back for game number 2. Don't go anywhere.